Two men with CIA credentials showed up unannounced at Stanford professor Garry Nolan's office and said they needed help with patients harmed by UFO encounters. And while he was on the Jordan Peterson show, he said some pretty crazy stuff. And if you don't know, Jordan Peterson is a huge figure in the world of psychology and the political field, and not many people thought he would be discussing UFOs. Actually, I don't think anyone expected that. But it seems like 2025 is full of surprises. Hey, ufologers, I'm Cristina Gomez, and welcome to this episode of UFO News Updates. Let's hear directly from Dr. Nolan about the day his life changed forever.
That led, as it turned out, to somebody representing the CIA and an aerospace company showing up at my office at Stanford, literally unannounced, showed me their credentials and said, "We need your help looking at patients who've had harm done to them." And I was like, "Well, what kind of harm?" And then they laid out the data, literally like MRIs and X-rays of internal scarring of
Are these people who reported abductions?
No.
Sorry. Okay.
These were.
I'm off on a wrong tangent.
These are intelligence agents, diplomatic corps, military personnel, et cetera, all who'd had said that they were hearing buzzing in their ears, or, and then a small subset of them said that they'd been in proximity to things that you would call a UFO.
If you enjoy UFO news, updates, case studies, and interviews, then I think you will like this channel. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this episode with those you want to keep in the know with the latest UFO news. Think about this for a moment. The CIA doesn't knock on professors' door for routine medical consultations. They came to Nolan because he had developed some of the world's most advanced blood analysis techniques, tools that could kind of detect cellular damage at levels other labs simply couldn't measure. And these weren't random patients. These were intelligence operatives, diplomats, and military personnel, people entrusted with national security, who were reporting medical problems after UFO encounters. And the government was taking these reports seriously enough to launch a classified medical study. And there's always a different narrative between classified and non-classified reports and documents when it comes to UFOs. And what Nolan discovered was even more bizarre. Most of these patients turned out to have Havana syndrome, a real condition caused by directed energy weapons that has affected hundreds of U.S. personnel worldwide, according to Nolan. But some cases were different. They had unique brain changes and symptoms that correlated specifically with claimed UFO encounters. Nolan found enlarged basal ganglia in their brains, and that's the same region that controls, listen to this, intuition, and, as his later research revealed, correlates directly with intelligence. What is up with that? And these weren't psychological symptoms. These were measurable physical changes to brain structure. And the implication of Nolan's research became so significant that it reached the very top of the US government. When his research started revealing uncomfortable truths, Dr. Nolan received a call that shows just how serious the government takes this. Take a listen.
I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but I did get a phone call from somebody representing the White House because I was talking about something that they felt was a little too on the edge. They said, "You need to just shut up, Garry." I'm just telling you. I've briefed Canadian Parliament. I went to your Parliament in Toronto and I briefed all three parties on it. The only ones who didn't want to hear anything were the separatists. So interestingly, but no, I spent 2 days there on that. And we've briefed the European Parliament as well on it. And they're aware of what some of their own military are talking about. So that I conclude that there's definitely something here.
This is a scientist that was being told to stay quiet. And when the White House calls to silence the research, that research has touched something classified and significant enough to say, hey, shh, we're done here. But Nolan's government connections opened doors to something even more extraordinary: physical materials allegedly recovered from UFO incidents. Working with legendary researcher Jacques Vallée, and he began analyzing metal fragments that defied conventional explanation. I mean, really, like, what an absolute dream.
We showed recently that was from a beach in Ubatuba, Brazil, that a fisherman had seen this object drop from this UFO, and it shattered, and he picked up some pieces of it, and it made its way through what I would consider to be a reasonable chain of custody. And we measured it, and it was 99.999% silicon. Okay, that's not hard to make today, but it's not something in the late 1950s or early 1960s you drop giant pieces of all over a beach in Ubatuba, Mexico. So it's whatever that was, it was clearly an object of industrial purpose, right? There's no 99.999% silicon anywhere on planet Earth. It's all contaminated.
Let's break down why this is so significant. Pure silicon at 99.999% requires sophisticated industrial processes that weren't available in the 50s, especially not in remote areas of Brazil. More importantly, every element on Earth has predictable isotope ratios, the signatures of how our planet is formed. And when you find materials with isotope ratios that don't match Earth's signature, you're looking at something that either came from somewhere else or was created using processes we don't understand yet. Nolan analyzed another sample from Iowa, 30 pounds of molten metal, what witnesses saw fall from a UFO, and the metal was a mixture of iron, titanium, and aluminum that was only partially mixed, kind of like stirred ice cream that was just done a few times. And no conventional aircraft could carry that much molten metal at temperatures that were required. And no known manufacturing process would create such an incomplete mixture. Perhaps the most extraordinary revelations from Nolan's research is that his team has developed technology that can allegedly attract some phenomena, and this might be the most shocking claim of all: that humans have developed a way to actually summon these objects, kind of like CE5, but with tech.
We, at least in a limited sense, have a signal that can be released that sometimes it seems to attract these objects. And so that's where the repeatability attempt is coming in.
Explain that a bit more.
So because it's a company and I'm not the official spokesperson for it, and this is public information that's out there, is that there's a signal that an individual as part of Skywatcher had determined when he was working with the military, it wasn't his purpose to develop it, so he didn't take anything out. It was sort of he noticed something, and then he refined the technique, and now he knows that he has, let's say, an electromagnetic sequence that he can release that somehow seems to have objects show up. And I was there when it happened. We go out on these week-long events in like the middle of nowhere, and stuff shows up.
Based on his analysis of government data and military reports, Nolan describes 5 characteristics of these phenomena. instantaneous acceleration and deceleration, no visible propulsion systems, no heat signatures despite extreme speeds, no flight surfaces for lift generation, and the ability to travel seamlessly between air, space, and water, being a transmedium object. And the energy requirements alone are staggering. When military radar tracked objects accelerating from sea level to space in under a second, Nolan calculated that moving even a 1-ton object at such speeds would require more energy than the entire nuclear output of the US for 1 year. Think about that. And then think about the recent claims that Ross made. Does Lockheed Martin have that kind of exotic energy? After years of analyzing classified medical data, impossible materials, and working directly with intelligence agencies, Dr. Nolan has reached a conclusion on all of this.
But I think the more interesting conclusion is if something is here, it's likely been here longer than humans have even been civilized. So it really opens the question. And actually, it's something that I think Charles Fort actually said is, Earth is probably somebody else's property.
But Nolan's scientific conclusions come with a significant caveat that reveals just how complex this phenomenon might be. He admits feeling very uncomfortable with the sightings of biological beings, if only because they just look a little too much like us. From a genetics perspective, he questions why the human form, 2 legs, 2 arms, would be the universally optimal biological design across different worlds and evolutionary paths. And this skepticism becomes even more intriguing when you consider what other government insiders are reportedly saying. Who am I mentioning? Congressman Eric Burleson recently revealed that Eric Davis, a longtime Pentagon and CIA researcher who has investigated retrieved crashed material since the 1980s, told him something really strange. He mentioned to Eric Burleson that they know of 4 different alien species, they referring to the government: the Greys, the Nordics, the Insectoids, and the Reptilians. And when the CIA shows up at your office, when the White House calls you to stay quiet, when congressional leaders introduce legislation based on classified briefings like the UAPDA, that's not conspiracy theory. It's something real. It's something tangible. What do you think about this latest interview? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. That is it for today. I will see you next time. Be safe and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.
If you enjoy the strange and the mysterious, UFOs, the paranormal, and cryptids, this channel is for you. So make sure to subscribe as I do 3 videos right here every single week, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss any of the bonus content I post right here.